Good morning, everyone. My name is Chad Landman, account executive here at eGroup, and joined by Travis McCullough, who is the Cohesity field technical director, one of the true pioneers there at Cohesity. And Travis, I believe you mentioned you were the first field sales engineer years ago at the
Yes,
company.
2015.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today for our backup as a service focus around Microsoft 365, Cohesity, DataProtect, delivered as a service overview. We're also going to touch on offerings from eGroup and Cohesity for a trial evaluation at no cost for this service, as well as the eGroup data protection cloud backup assessment that we will go through on the methodology and what the deliverables look like, what that process looks like that we go through for a number of our clients and have been doing so for the last couple of years. So, and eventually I'll turn it over here to Travis to get started. Travis, if you could kind of touch on some of the high level topics that you're going to present on, and I'm not sure if you plan on pulling up the interface or not, but I'll turn it over to you here to get started.
Sure. So the interface will certainly be more a matter of time than anything else. We've got a little bit of content we'll go through, and if we need to jump into it, I do have it. Maybe we spend a couple minutes there, and I skip a couple slides. We'll wiggle and waggle as needed. Want to talk through briefly what our DataProtect as a service is, and then also how we can protect things that are cloud native, or things specifically in M365, as it's a constantly evolving thing. Microsoft is only going to keep about 30 days of it on there, and they still recommend you should keep some other third-party platform there to be able to protect it. So we'll talk about a few of those things, and if time is available, I'll jump into the UI and we'll show you some of the fun stuff there.
Sounds
so
good.
Guys, thank you, Chad. So guys, we're going to walk through a few things, and honestly, the reason we decided to do this, we at Cohesity decided to do this, was data management's tricky now. Especially if you look at the last, 16 months or so, costs are even more complicated than they were 2 years ago. Everybody's trying to reduce the amount of cash that they're spending as far as CapEx. We're all being asked to do more with less, whether that be cost or, people or infrastructure. And people are trying to shift a lot of that OpEx, but they still want to improve predictability of what that spends are going to look like. And maintenance renewals are getting to be a complicated thing, rather than you see the hockey stick approach of a lot of companies as far as maintenance. Going with a simple way of managing that and going subscription based really allows your data to ebb and flow, whether get bigger, get smaller, move from one platform to another. Really, the flexibility is what really drives it. Complexity of managing data hasn't gotten any easier either. You've got everybody working remotely, it seems like, for the last few years. And the concept of, hey, you work 2 doors down from your data center, a lot of that's shifting, whether that be to colos or to the cloud. Really, this is one of those things that the management infrastructure just keeps getting wider and wider, and I don't know that that's necessarily a problem. And then point solutions, whether you've got something for maybe something specific for virtual machines, or something specific for databases, or something specific for XYZ application, even inside of a core data center, it gets tricky. But then when the time you add in cloud and remote offices, branch offices, you don't get a lot of visibility to that data the further it gets away from that core. And really, this is what one of the problems that Cohesity is solving as part of this, because managing in a hybrid world is not any easier. You've got a lot more flexibility between cloud and data center remote offices, but we've created our own problem in the fact that we've put data everywhere. And it gets more and more complicated to be able to manage that at scale. Versus just saying having one data center with one backup application and one old school tape silo. The more and more we keep spreading out, I think kind of the better for the business, but it does lead to a problem that we call mass data fragmentation, where data is just all over the place. You're storing the same bits of information in multiples of these platforms or multiple of these locations, and you don't have the visibility that you used to, because hey, look, that's where all my credit card information is. It lives in that one SQL server somewhere. It gets to be complicated once this starts going as a service offerings throughout. So what Cohesity does as a whole is we eliminate all the pain that goes around traditional backup software. So we eliminate the need for, the media servers, master servers, proxy servers, target storage, all this other fun stuff. And then however you get that data out to the cloud, we eliminate all of this. It's just data protection. So we give you one simple platform to manage this. And we really make it easy to do this at truly any scale. And this also takes it a step beyond just data protection. With Cohesity, we want you to actually leverage our platform for multiple different things, whether that's file and objects, analytics, test and development, orchestration, automation. All of these things make up Cohesity. Today, we're going to focus on data protection, specifically either as a service as well as protecting cloud workloads. But really, we can consolidate a lot of these at scale, and it's one UI to manage everything, so you don't need to worry about having 6 different UIs or 6 different solutions. It's all just one simple dashboard that you can log in and you can manage your data protection on-prem and in the cloud and in remote offices. You can manage your file shares. You can manage your test and development, orchestration and automation. And that's all powered from Helios, which is our multi-cloud data platform. This gives you the ability to manage, regardless of scale, how big your environment gets, regardless of where it lives. If that's data that's in the cloud, awesome. If that's data that's on-prem, cool. If that's data that's in remote sites, cool. It really allows you to have the same user experience if you're one of the mega enterprise customers with hundreds of remote sites and petabytes in core data centers, as it is if you're running a 50 terabyte shop that you've got 3 data centers, prod DR, and maybe a remote site. It really gives you the power to manage it at any scale. And the thing we wanted to talk about here is also the fact that we can also do data management as a service. So if you don't want to have infrastructure in some of those sites, that's not a problem. We can shift all that spend from capital over to OpEx. We're still going to give you all the consolidation, so single platform, single UI. We give you all the fun stuff, deduplication, data reduction, reducing a lot of the complexity that you have in a traditional environment. You don't need to worry about patching. You don't need to worry about updates. All that's handled in the cloud. You don't need to worry about, hey, when do I get this feature? You're going to wake up one day, new innovations are going to be available for you to take advantage of. And then we're also going to allow you to get more value from that data as it sits there as well. So we're going to talk more about this as we go. So as part of this, this is our first as a service offering, which is backup as a service. Eventually, we're going to have what we call data management as a service, which is going to extend beyond just backup, where we have things like disaster recovery and file shares, and I'll get into that. But for our backup as a service, we could protect both cloud workloads and on-premises workloads. Doesn't really make much of a difference. So this is going to protect your Microsoft 365, Amazon instances, VMware, NAS, SQL, all this is supported. We're adding more and more functions to this every 2 weeks. So our rolling upgrades are very, very simple. You don't need to worry about it. You just get more functionality throughout. There's no infrastructure for you to manage. You simply protect what you need to protect. It's capacity-based pricing. So take your amount of data that you have, you figure out what it is, and ta-da, there's your price. You can sign up and you're ready to go within minutes. So it's really, truly a simple platform to be able to do this. And as far as Microsoft 365, we can do this in 2 different ways. If you're already a Cohesity customer, you can just simply leverage Helios. If you want to deploy your own separate instance inside of, say, Azure, you can simply load Cohesity. Again, go right to the app, the marketplace there, grab it, or just the Helios dashboard. We can deploy an environment for you inside of Azure if you'd prefer to have everything inside of your buckets. All still managed from Helios, regardless of scale. And then also we have the ability to do this as a service. So there's really no wrong way to deploy this. It's simply a matter of what fits best for your business. From cloud to cloud backup, really it's rather simple. There's Backup Exchange Online, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams. If you want that to be in your buckets, great. You want that to be in our buckets, cool. It's truly flexible. So you could do cloud to on-prem. So if you want to just back this up from the cloud back on-prem, cool, we support that. Or you can go cloud to cloud. It really, truly is whatever you're trying to do from your business and how far along you are on your journey to the cloud. At the end of the day, it's also one simple management UI. It's just a matter of where you want to deploy Cohesity. In short, It's pretty simple. It's one UI. It's web-based. It's in-app guided. So if you've got a question, you can click on help. It'll give you all the details for the pertinent information, the pertinent location that you're at. If you're looking at, protecting SQL and you click on the help button, it's going to give you the details that are pertinent to protecting SQL. Or, say if you're trying to protect something inside of OneDrive, same thing. We're going to give you the details that are pertinent for what you're trying to set up. Easy to establish a connection. We have what we call just a Cohesity SaaS connector. If you're backing up data on-prem, it's a simple VM that can be deployed. It will create a connection between Helios and your infrastructure on-prem. What this also allows us to do is have an optimized data transfer where I'm only sending unique data back, and I'm also encrypting all this data throughout. So it is protected as well as efficient. Nice thing also is if you wanted to do backups from an on-prem workload and do it to the cloud, we can also do fun stuff like not have to pay for egress costs. So you can have as unlimited recoveries as part of this, as many backups as you need, automated workload discovery. So if you want to say, hey, as new things pop up, we're going to show them in the system, you can go ahead then add those to your protection workloads. And you got some flexible recovery options. So if you want to recover on-prem, you want to recover in the cloud, you've got some cool capabilities there. In short, it's predictable. We want to make this as easy as we can. Everybody's environments are changing on a week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis, whether that's on-prem, public cloud, maybe multiple clouds. We want this to be as flexible as possible so that way you can deploy what you need when you need it. And really truly allow you to use the platform efficiently and eliminate all those upgrades and renewals and migrations and all that fun stuff. We really truly are hybrid cloud backup made easy. It's a simple cloud hybrid environment. So if you're 100% in the cloud, we can protect you. If you're some on-prem, some in the cloud, we can protect you. Whatever you need, it's a single UI. And you really can eliminate a lot of the pain around, traditional solutions of, upgrade cycles, management of hardware, that sort of fun stuff. And then you can also protect data, whether it's on-prem to the cloud, cloud to on-prem. We got Google-like search to recover. So we'll index all this data so you can do some cool capabilities as far as recoverability. And then you've got some advanced protection and data services coming as part of this. So I mentioned that this is just the beginning for data management. Next phase is going to be disaster recovery as a service, which I actually have in tech preview now. Development testing. Hey, you wanted to take these machines and you wanted to present those to a fenced off environment for dev test and not take up any additional capacity. Cool. That scheduling, orchestration, and automation is on the way. A security and compliance dashboard, giving you some ability to look and see, is your data protected? Are you storing data that's in plain text or in clear text that you shouldn't? An entire dashboard specifically wrapped around security. The ability to then take on file shares. If you wanted to consolidate those from an on-prem into the cloud or otherwise, we're going to give you that capability so that it can kind of span between multiple different environments. And this is truly just the beginning. This is going to continue to grow throughout so that we have a solution that exists whether you are 100% on-premise, 100% in the cloud, somewhere in between. It's all going to still be Cohesity. So however you need to work, we will be here to help. As far as getting started, it's easy. Simple free trial. You could just go to cohesity.com/free trial, log in, create an account, log in. You got 30 terabytes that you can do with free. Right now, if you are going to a paid service, we'll also double that. So we'll match that for you to begin with. And you can go ahead and scale this however you want. Truly, it's as easy as, download it and you're ready to go for the environment. I'm going to skip this. And then on top of this, eGroup has a lot of really cool, powerful tools that they can help with. I'll turn this over to Chad, and he can walk through this with a little bit more detail. Just let me know when you want me to move the slides.
Sounds good, Travis. Thank you. So just before we jump into the cloud backup assessment methodology, it seems like just with a simple completion of an online form, customers can get access to the trial evaluation, right? And there's no hardware involved. Just pretty straightforward, right?
That is an accurate statement. You don't need to purchase anything as far as hardware. It is a downloadable VM. We have this under VMware as well as Hyper-V with more hypervisors coming. So it's truly just a matter of deploy a VM and establish a connection from your Helios account to that particular environment. That's it.
And
From there, it'll
and we
we'll
have
detect
resources
evidence.
to help. We have resources to help customers get started. It's something that a number, like you mentioned earlier in your presentation, just the number of organizations that need stronger data protection besides the default M365 30 days that's out there, right? It's a growing need and challenge out there that has been consistent for a number of years. So we have a number of customers that have reached out asking how to solve this problem. This is a fairly straightforward online approach with minimal commitment and as a service, right? So it's an excellent way to test out the offering from Cohesity, and we look forward to helping your organization. So as we shift over to the cloud backup assessment, I've mentioned before in a couple of our other virtual events that we have with Microsoft, our strength and partnership there. We're a 6X national gold partner with Microsoft. So we have a deep expertise in Azure, which helps when you're looking at an overall cloud-based backup assessment and methodology and strategy. With Cohesity and their ability for agnostic cloud support, Azure fits right in. And what we'll do is we'll gather a number of data points from your organization for a baseline assessment of the current environment, understand how that fits into Azure governance and design. So we'll spend some time with an actual Azure governance, networking, and design workshop to help match your requirements around compliance, as well as retention, things of that nature, to really hone in on what the system specification would look like. So Travis, if you could go forward a little bit there. One more to the current state baseline. So these are the type of information that we will gather during this assessment. Most of the time, we can get this assessment completely funded, whether that's through different programs that Microsoft has to offer. Their new fiscal year starts July 1st, so there's a number of new programs that we can leverage. Microsoft is obviously in an arms race against other public clouds. So they fund gold partners like ourselves at eGroup, our professional services, to help customers adopt their cloud service offerings. And obviously, moving workloads into Azure fits right into that space. So if you could go forward there, Travis, to the next slide, you'll look at what type of deliverable documentation, once we go through the architecture and the policies of your environment, what the current backup operations look like. We'll outline everything, the different data sources to the different retention levels, the different systems that you have backing up data today, and then formalize a suggested system specification with Cohesity and Azure. So we can go forward there, Travis. We can look at what that outline looks like to a proposed backup service, Azure backup architecture, and go through the different, deliverable metrics that we collect and analyze and put together with your team throughout the process of the assessment. This is just a sample of what you'd look like, or what it would look like as far as some of the deliverable documentation. We treat it like a funded project. So there would be a project manager assigned. You'd have a solution architect, as well as a deployment engineer working with you and your team throughout this process. And then we'll deliver a 5-year total cost of ownership, not only outlining the financial, specifications of the proposed system, but what that would look like compared to status quo if you were to continue as is. So if you can go over to the financial analysis and the next slide there, some of the cost model considerations, right, from the backup services themselves to the different Azure components that are involved, the connectivity and the data charges associated with compute and RAM and things of that nature, storage. So then we'll turn that around and you'll see the next slide there, which is the last one I have, Travis. Is just an estimated Cohesity backup infrastructure cost with not only the on-premises solution, but also Azure-based, right? So this is a little bit different than the focused M365 trial that we talked about. This is looking at your backup and data protection as a whole throughout the entire environment, and that's what would be in scope as part of the cloud backup assessment. As you can see, we'll take it out 5 years and really break things down for you to analyze internally, work with your existing, your extended team to understand if it is a path to take, but can certainly arm you with the right information and the cloud economics and the modeling that is kind of needed to make that sort of decision for a hybrid backup environment. Travis, that's all I have on my side. We wanted to make sure that the two call to actions coming away are obviously the free trial that we're more than happy to help you get set up, but also to keep in mind the cloud backup assessment that our team offers and most of the time can get funded on your behalf. And I see you pulling up the dashboard there, so I'll turn it back over to you for the last 5-10 minutes or so.
Sure, and we'll just spend a few minutes on this. We don't need to go through a ton, but guys, this is the Helios dashboard, and note it works the same whether you have a completely as-a-service offering or you've got existing Cohesity environments. This truly works at any scale. So let's take a look briefly at what the DataProtect looks like, because this is a very simple product. It's a very simple solution. It will protect you very, very easily, but you don't have to sit there and deal with a lot of knobs or anything else, whistles and bells to turn. It's just going to work. You can see I've got some environments that are set up where I'm protecting data all around the world right now, whether that's Europe, Asia Pacific, stuff in the East Coast, West Coast. When you create those connections, you can simply choose where you want those data sets to be stored. So if you're based on the East Coast and you want to make sure that your backup is in the West Coast, awesome. You want to just keep it still in region, totally cool. It's a simple platform where you could simply choose what you want to register. And again, this can be anything from generic NAS, cloud providers, M365, physical systems, you name it. We give you simple ways of managing this. And by just registering a solution, you're going to see all the different users that you want to go ahead and protect. If you want to go ahead and protect those, it's a simple matter of checking the box. And note, I've got this for mailboxes. I can do the same thing if I wanted to kick over to OneDrive. I wanted to do this for a SharePoint site, no problem. Same thing if I wanted to do this for any sort of Teams work. I have the ability to manage this as well. In this environment, I've only got a handful of teams that are in here. But once you register these sources, then it's easy for you to just simply choose what you want to protect. We also have the option to auto protect as part of this as well. So if you wanted to just choose a parent level object and go ahead and auto protect, hey, everything that goes in here, I want to go ahead and protect that going forward. That takes all the guesswork out of it. You don't need to think, well, hey, is everything being protected appropriately? You just simply auto protect and it'll go ahead and make sure that everything that's in the particular parent level object that you're going for gets protected into perpetuity. You can still exclude things if you need to. So I've got a couple in here that are excluded, but we really want to make it simple for you to be able to protect at scale without having to sit there and manage a bunch of different things. I mean, if you've got 30,000 users, trying to manage that as 30,000 different entities would be a very cumbersome operation, which is why we really want to try and go to more parent level operations and leverage auto protect as much as possible. You have the ability to create custom policies if you want to. By default, we're going to give you 120-day retention in our standard as-a-service offering. So it's going to be very easy. If you need to create something custom, we'll be happy to work with you on that. So maybe you need data for less time. Maybe you need data for a longer time for certain workloads. Cool. Work with us on it, and we'll be happy to get something configured for you. It really, truly is an easy button for data protection of these data sets that are already in the cloud, specifically with M365. If you need audit logs to make your audit teams or your compliance teams happy, we'll give you the ability to see what's happening from an activity standpoint. We'll give you all the alerts that you need. So if something fails for whatever reason, we'll give you that. Even if we're just violating SLAs, hey, I expect this to take X amount of time. It took longer. Cool. You can set these up custom for your particular workloads as needed, but it really is a simple platform so that you can manage not only things like, cloud-based M365, but also if you've got, a bunch of different sites. Hey, I've got a remote site with a handful of machines, but instead of having to put infrastructure on-prem, boy, wouldn't it be nice if you could just put a simple VM connector there and protect those workloads directly to the cloud? This gives you the capability of really, truly optimizing how you manage data, regardless of where it lives. and give you some cool capabilities of having to get out of some of that hardware business, specifically in places where you're just trying to not have hardware. It's the same thing if you do have hardware for your core data centers, it's all still managed from the same Cohesity dashboard. We give you global views of everything, global visibility to everything, whether these are as a service backups, on-premise backups, or cluster-based backups. Chad, that's all I really wanted to go through. It's a really simple solution. Obviously, anybody that wants to sit there and work with us, be happy to have a more tailored one-on-one conversation with you and really truly understand what you're trying to do as far as scope and scale, find the appropriate solution for your customers.
Excellent. Thank you, Travis. And we will follow up with everyone accordingly and look forward to finding time for a focused conversation to talk about your organization's goals and see if we can help out in any way. Everybody have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.